Tom.
And we are Velocities in Music, VIMTV. Today we're going to do the new album from Cake in 2011. This one's called Showroom of Compassion, which is actually a pretty cool album title for a Cake album. Cake. Cake is a band unlike any other band. They are irresistibly coy and biting and what else would you describe
fun.
Cake as? Just
they're
fun.
They're funky.
Yeah.
They groove. They have a good time.
Grooving. Yes.
They've always, they are unlike any other band, but it's interesting because while no one really does the exact sound that they do, they incorporate the trumpets, they incorporate some kind of piano stuff, but they're not quite ska, but they're not quite like pop, rock, it's hard to define. Yet at the same time, they've never really done anything too different from themselves. They haven't really,
and a lot of their lyrics are very sardonic.
Yes, very much so.
And sarcastic. It kind of reminds me of James Murphy and LCD Soundsystem.
Yeah.
Obviously the music's different, but vocally,
but yet John McCrae's delivery is so much more dry in Cake.
Right.
It's almost like that dry humor, like almost like British humor, even though they're not British. Kind of a weird comparison.
Yeah, and there's a lot of social commentary there too. And on top of all that, I mean, how can you really go wrong with just giant fat bass lines?
Oh yeah, their bass player is amazing. Always has been. Right,
and a lot of these songs are fairly simplistic. Always have been, and there's nothing wrong with that. They do a lot of really cool. They're just so good at writing songs. Their songwriting is just so damn good. This is their first album since 2004. It's been 7 years. Pressure Chief came out. Pressure Chief, I don't think was, it's not heralded as one of the best Cake albums. I mean, really, that's Fashion Nugget and
Comfort Eagle. Prolonging the Magic.
Yeah, and I feel like Pressure Chief just kind of got overlooked. Yeah. And then this one obviously now that they kind of were touring and stuff, and so actually I think I posted an interview down at our website that kind of explains the whole process of how they got back together and stuff, and decided that, hey, yeah, we're gonna just do another album, and that's exactly what they did. They made another Cake album.
Yeah.
It's nothing expansive. They didn't really change anything. It's just Cake doing what Cake does.
Yeah.
And man, does Cake taste good.
Old diehard fans will be pleased.
Right.
Because this is just pretty solid songwriting throughout. I mean, I don't think there's a horrible track on here. Some are obviously better than others. Cake albums have always been that way. They haven't really expanded their sound that much, which I think will kind of irk some people and will be pleasing to some people. Kind of the same things we said about Belle and Sebastian's latest album. It's safe. It's not a big step for them. It's just them proving that they can still write some damn good songs.
Right.
A couple little differences. I think they got a little more reverb. If I could say so, I think
it's in vogue.
Yeah, especially like the vocals on the first track, Federal Funding, come in. They got some reverb, maybe even like a slight low delay on them, and it's like, whoa! You've almost never heard his vocals without just being pretty clear. For the most part.
Right.
But other than that, it's just kind of another Cake album that if you enjoy them, you'll probably enjoy this. I think overall, some of the songs are a little bit darker. Still, this isn't a depressing album. No. It's still somewhat uplifting, but maybe just not quite to the extent that some of their previous releases have been.
And some of them even some of these songs even sound more like just an older Cake.
Yeah.
I don't want to even go more mature. But just kind of maybe an older, more worn sound to it. It's still the same general concept backing the songs, but I don't know. One thing that I gotta point out that did bother me that I saw as a change from previous albums, specifically Comfort Eagle and even Pressure Chief, is production. Just seems to be so much more low end focused here. And to the point that it's actually kind of truncating the treble end of the sound. And to me, I don't like that because so much of Cake, is in not only just the bass grooves, but the songs are accented by these crunchy guitars and the trumpets and horns and the vocals. And to me, when you're taking some of that away, you're taking the edge off of it. You're taking what makes it just bite and shine right in your face, And I feel like that since that's not there, it's just kind of this muddy mess at times, and I just, it's not as crisp, it's not as clear, it's not as hard, it's not as easy for me to like just latch onto and just go, wow, it doesn't kick me in the face as hard as I want it to, and that's something that I not a big issue, but I'm just docking it a little for.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, Staple Cake album, some good tracks. I mean, the what's now is now, Mustache Man. Those are my favorites. But overall, I'm feeling a very low, just even 70.
I'm going to go 76.
Yeah.
I think, to push this into the 80s range, Cake would really have to try to do something ambitious, something a little more forward-thinking and experimental with their sound. And I don't mean experimental like they have to go out and make a crazy concept album. I just mean experimental relative to what they've done in the past. And I don't think they're quite doing it here. But what I think they are doing is proving that they're still relevant as a band, that they can still come out with good stuff. This actually recently hit #1. It's their first #1 album, which is crazy. Crazy, considering they've been around for so long and have put out consistently good material.
Yeah, the 7-year break probably helped that.
True.
One thing I love that they did is track 9, Bound Away, actually gets back into some of their country roots, which I love. I love that they can still incorporate that.
That is one thing that you haven't heard too much from them. And that's one thing
especially not in Pressure Chief.
Yeah, but that's also just, one track out of 11 here, so it's,
Well, and it's still just a good variety to mix the sound up. But overall, a good Cake album. Cake fans, there's so many of you out there. What do you guys think? Did you like Showroom of Compassion? Are you glad Cake's back at it? Or do you wish that they would have just stopped with Pressure Chief and just moved on? Let us know. www.velocitiesandmusic.com, youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.